Good morning, everybody. You tuned in once again to Cragcore, and I just want to say thank you very much for tuning in again. You don't have to be here. You don't have to click on the video, so I appreciate it. Might I remind you to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm always uploading new videos. I try and get it done on a daily basis, so there's always new content coming your way. So while we're on the subject of new content daily, nearly stalled the car there, I don't know if you noticed. While we're on the subject of new content, what are we going to be talking about today? Well, allow me to enlighten you. By the way, before we get started, I got a good video coming your way. A very, very good video coming your way. It's going to be after this one. It's quite involved, quite in depth. So just keep your eye out, ready for that one. But today, we're talking about product placement and advertising. All right. Now, we're also going to be delving deep into the implications on our society of how these techniques used to sell us shit, basically, can basically be weaponized and turned against us as ways to alter our mindset. So it's a very deep subject, and it's going to require some discussion. But as always, I hope you enjoy it. And without further ado, as they say, let's get straight down into it. So, product placement and advertising. Let's start with the latter. Let's start with advertising, because that's the first subject, okay, that really kind of needs to be tackled and looked at, because that's the most common one. And it's the easiest one to describe, okay, and explain. So what you've got is, what is an advertisement to start with? Well, an advertisement is something that's created visually, audibly, to basically alter your opinion towards a product, so you're more inclined to spend your money upon it, okay, to purchase it. Now, I ask you a question. How do you feel about it? How do you feel knowing that people are using your own psychological kind of state against you? These people are psychologists. They employ people that know about the human mindset and how to manipulate it, how to trigger people into doing things that they want them to do so they can make money. How does it make you feel knowing that you are being manipulated on a daily basis, all right, by these advertisements? To be honest, it makes me feel annoyed. It makes me feel annoyed. I'm very cross with it. How dare they? How dare they do this to us? At the end of the day, they take it upon themselves to manipulate us through psychological means into making money from us. How dare they? It's always unassuming as well. We don't know that it's happening to us. That's the point. We don't know it's happening to us. It's all very suggestive. It's all very kind of subconscious. If you watch the adverts, I don't anymore, but if you look at the adverts on television, you will notice there are lots of circular aspects to the whole thing, swirly things, circular bits that come from the outside and go into the center of the screen, or from the center and out. Lots of flashy things. This is all sensory. Now, you know when people do this whole comedic version of hypnosis and brainwashing and stuff, there's always like a green and yellow spiral or a black and white spiral, yeah? You know, drawing your attention in so it kind of fucking, you know, messes with your brain. The circular aspects, you know, the swirly aspects of the adverts, it's all there, okay? Hypnosis. The flashing images, the bits and bobs like that, it's like to flash shit up. Your brain knows it sees something, but you can't necessarily register what it is you've seen, okay? You find yourself acting on these subliminal messages. Now, a few decades back, there was an injunction made, a criminal case against advertising companies because they were found to be doing, you know, basically intentional. They were intentionally putting subliminal messages and brainwashing techniques in these advertisements. That's something you can go and look up, reference for yourself. So, do you think they've stopped doing it? No. They just got better at hiding it. And I'll tell you why. Bit of money. Money is an addictive thing, and these people are, make no mistake, addicted to earning it, okay? And we, the unassuming public, are the commodity, okay? We are the cash cow. We are that which they can earn money from. The economy survives by earning and spending money. We'll get to that in a minute. So, these people know exactly what they're doing. They just got better at hiding it, okay? If you remember old televisions, they had a big bulb in, like it was a big screen, lots of shit going on in the back, you know, the big back on them and stuff. And when you turned it on, you could hear it hissing, yeah? It would make like a very high-pitched noise. Well, when the adverts came on, I mean, I must have been, Christ, in my early teens. When the adverts came on, there was a slight change in the pitch of this hissing noise. It went to a higher tone. It was a more high-pitched hissing noise. Is the simplest way of putting it. I tried to make that sound a bit more technical, but no, it was just a higher pitch of hissing. But that made me think. I was thinking, so okay, what's going on that's different about, you know, the actual TV shows? You know, what's different to that in compared to the advertisements? Because a different pitch of hiss. I was like, there's a different hiss. Suggests that it's running at a different frequency. Okay, now this is where it starts to get deep, deeper than the deep blue up in this. Because I'm telling you now, frequency plays a big part in this whole picture. I will post in the description below a link to a patent, okay? And this patent is basically talking about a piece of technology that can be installed in television sets, radios, mobile phones, anything that emits a signal, okay? If anybody is within range of this signal, this particular technology emits, okay, a signal that is interlaced with the main one that affects your emotions. I'm telling you, and this is something that is out there, okay? Now, I would say this. If there's a patent for it, excuse me while I just get that off there, I spat some food out my mouth. I came from the back somewhere. If there's a patent for this, that means it likely already exists, man, okay? Anything in the public eye, anything that's in the public realm, the public theatre, is there because it's not a danger to the powers that desire to be, okay? So, I dare say, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, I dare say that technology such as this, probably a little bit more advanced, is already being implemented. You know, you sit in the fucking cinema, they put cold air through the, you know, the air vents at certain points to make your hair stand on end, to make you feel a certain way about the film, to give you a better experience. So if they're going to put this technology in the cinemas and the TVs and all that kind of stuff, and if it's relatively harmless, well, they'll go, well, it'll give them a better experience of the film. Now, it does say of this pattern, right, a bit of a digression there, but it does say in this pattern that it can be installed as a code, okay? For instance, in a DVD. So they will interlace this code with the DVD format that's actually on the disc, so that when you put it in your player, when you put it in your player, it tells the technology that's in the television or what have you to emit this particular signal at certain points. So it's very clever stuff. Now tell me that advertisements, given their history and their past of mind manipulation, wouldn't see this as something that they need to get their hands on to get you to buy stuff, when the fucking hell, man, the stakes are so high. It's about whether or not they can stay rich, and that's ultimately their goal, is to stay rich and not be poor. They want us to be poor as possible, so we can live a normal life, just enough so we can have a little bit to spend and to stay in debt. But anyway, that's another video altogether. We'll get to that one a bit down the line, but today we're just talking about this part of the corrupt, dark system. Okay, because it's all interlaced, there's so many facets, and we'll try and get through them all. So, advertising. This is one example, an easy example to give you. Alcohol. It makes you feel like crap, doesn't it? It makes you feel like shit. It doesn't do anything for your physique. You know, if anything, it makes everything worse in life. It can, you can become dependent on it, and it can ruin your life, your family's life. It can bankrupt you. There's nothing really that good about alcohol, is there really? Maybe a refreshing glass of lager, a refreshing glass of lager on a hot day that's fresh from a clean, clean pump in a pub. That's about the only time it's good, but just the one, or maybe just half a pint. That first few mouthfuls is all you need. That is really refreshing. But anything past that is a detriment. But yet people flock to the supermarkets and they continue to buy this shit. Now, spirits, they're the worst for the advertising, aren't they? They make you think it's all sophisticated and suave when you've had a few vodkas. You're probably the furthest you can get away from being sophisticated and suave. Maybe a bit sophisticated. You know what I mean, though? Sophisticated. Like, but yeah, we do it, you know? We buy into it. And why do we? Well, because the advertisements make us feel as though it's cool. So there we go. That's a prime example. There's nothing good about a product, but you're still buying it. Insane, all right? But this is where we go to product placement, all right? Because product placement is a completely different thing, but it's all woven in. Product placement is about manipulating your mind into accepting the normality of something, okay? So it then alters the way you live. Ultimately, it's not now about just buying something. The product placement changes your opinion towards something, which then gets you into a mind frame of, like I've said, normalising it so it becomes a part of your daily routine in order to maintain the purchasing of said things, right? But it goes a level deeper, man. It goes very deep. You got to think about it. What have I just said? Product placement is about manipulating your mind enough so that you alter your life around it. This is very dangerous. It's extremely dangerous because we're talking about things such as films, TV shows. This is what changes our minds. Like, for instance, your child can grow up thinking that something is completely normal if you expose it, you expose your child to it enough. Because we're all learning computers. We all learn, all right? And most of our behaviour is based on what it is we've learned. So, you think about it. Most people, I would say 95% of the Western world, they say Western civilization. I mean, obviously, I'm not talking about tribes living in a jungle here. 95% of the people have got a TV set. What's the best tool then to manipulate the minds of the masses, you know, on the whole? Well, you'd use the television, wouldn't you? That's exactly what you'd use because it's in the living room of everybody's house, and everybody's staring at the bugger. So and then you look at the technology that could be implemented within it. It's a very, very dangerous piece of technology, and people welcome it into their house. And not only that, they aspire to get the latest one, which would, by design, have the latest tech, and therefore the latest, most refined tools of manipulation within that tech. Anyway, product placement, Hollywood, films, TV shows. Once you start looking at it like this and you go, well, okay, it's altering public perception on what is normal and what is acceptable. That's very, very powerful in the hands of the wrong people. All right? Now we're no longer just talking about things like alcohol, which is rife. You know, every time somebody goes to the fridge, they walk in from a hard day's work. What do? They grab a beer out of the fridge. Every time they're sad or depressed, what do? They reach for the bottle of whiskey. Sad songs start playing. And then they're like that, you know, then they put the glass down and reach for the bottle. I mean, I just think it's dangerous because it makes you now think this is acceptable. This is what you should do. Okay, I mean, I'm sure if you're following me, you can see the very, very dark picture of where advertising and product placement can take us. Now, in my opinion, which you will hear, is, in my opinion, basically, life is more about elevating yourself to a higher state of consciousness. All right? Just like Josh Wink said. But the higher state of consciousness should be what we would all really want to attain, but for the outside influence of this dark system that we are a part of. You think about it. Most stuff that gets advertised ain't no good for you. That's why they have to advertise it in such a way. Do you ever see advertisements, okay, for fruit and veg? Well, do you? Even companies like Marks and Spencer's that are supposed to be better than everybody else, they'll advertise beef Wellington full of pastry, yeah, it's heavy, bad for you, gravy, full of shit. You know, sponge puddings with all kinds of sauces and stuff dripping over it and glooping out of it. None of it's any good for you. It's junk food. It's fucking shit. All right? But ultimately, this is the reason why they have to push it on you so hard, because deep down in your consciousness, in your soul, you know, okay, this is why you feel bad That's why it's called junk food. That's why people say I'm having a cheat meal or a, you know, a shit meal, because ultimately it's all bad. Deep down in your soul, in your inner being, you know what it is you need to be doing in life, and that is bettering yourself, being a clean, healthy individual, all right? Or at least trying to be as close to that as you possibly can, attaining this higher state of consciousness through meditation and yoga and learning about things, okay? Learning about people and trying to be a good person. This is what our soul's purpose is, okay? Trying to be the best person you can be, not only for yourself, but for everybody in the world. Okay? But you see, how often do you get, what kind of time do you get to dedicate to this pursuit? Well, you don't get any so long as you're listening to the advertisers and filling your bloody time with things that just drag you down and that lower your vibrational frequency, such as negative foods with no nutrients, okay? Alcohol that basically blur your mind on the only possible time that you have to actually spend in contemplation or self-enlightenment. If you're hungover at the weekend or every evening after you've gone and worked for the man, okay, for the whole week, then what time have you got? And just the thing is, people, they know this. And I'm going to tell you how I know that they know this, because if you go back in time, and this is my final point, if you go back in time to the time of the Egyptians and so on, I mean, obviously, I can say obviously, because these systems have been in place for thousands of years, I can only say the Egyptians because that's where it's documented as far back as what I can see. But systems of the tinkering of and the hiding of secret knowledge. Now, when it's only secret because it's held away from the public on purpose. And what information, what knowledge am I talking about? Well, it's the knowledge of self-enlightenment, you know, elevating oneself to a higher state of consciousness. This is the secret that is hidden from everybody. And how do I know this? Well, it's very simple. The Egyptians would write their hieroglyphs and all of their documents and stuff in a way that was interpretable in two ways, maybe more, but for argument's sake, it was able to be interpreted in more than one way. The uninitiated and the initiated. Now, obviously, you're talking the initiated. There's probably varying different levels of initiation. Therefore, you had your eyes open to different levels of this allegory. Okay, this hidden information that was hidden in plain sight. So the hieroglyphs and stuff were readable in different ways, dependent on the level of initiation you had. Now, they were saying priests, people that were high up in their society, such as emperors, pharaohs, my apologies, and what have you, were able to decipher this code and see what the true knowledge was. Whereas the layman, the common people, just saw it at face value for what it really, you know, just for what it was, for the way it was intended for them to see it. This secret knowledge was about attaining a higher level of consciousness so your soul is able to elevate itself and potentially move on to a higher dimension of existence. Now, that might seem far out because we're talking about the Egyptians here, but bear with me. There is a painting on the ceiling of one of the buildings. I'm not quite sure what building it is in America, but there's a painting on the ceiling, and it's like a heavenly scene. Clouds, there's Jesus, all kinds of stuff up there. I don't know if Jesus is on it, by the way. But there's all these heavenly beings. But George Washington is there. Now, who is George Washington? The founder, okay, he was the first American president. So ultimately you could say he's the founder of American civilization, the first father of America. He is depicted in this image as having attained this higher level of consciousness. Therefore, he has arisen to this heavenly place as himself. Now, there's all kinds of imagery in that. You should look into that painting, not just from official sources, but from independent sources, because remember, the official story and the independent, truly investigated story that isn't financially driven are two completely different things. But you see, this is the thing. This is the point I'm making. That information has been put there on the ceiling of this building. It's all about, in our modern day still, it's all about attaining a high level of consciousness, a higher state of being, okay? And yet, do the people know about it? Even though it's in our modern day, do the people know about it? No, they don't, which means it's still hidden. And you have to then ask yourself, why is it hidden and how are they hiding it? Well, we're living in a capitalist society where money is the very thing that enslaves you. Because through the desire and the need and the pursuit of getting money, of attaining currency, you are therefore enslaved by that pursuit. And it's as simple as that. And these people know that. Why would they want us elevating to their level if through keeping that elevation away from us, they can remain in control? Try and look at this from a psychopath's perspective, not your own. Because only then will you then be able to start to realise and understand. Because by looking at it through your own eyes and through your own perspective, it's going to be very difficult. Because you or I perhaps wouldn't do this to other people. I know I wouldn't. So it's hard for me to comprehend why somebody would want to do it to me. Unless I change my mindset to thinking like, well, a psychopath might. Okay? These people are hungry for power. And this whole system is in place. There's so many different aspects of this, so many different threads that all start to come together. And it's about control, it's about global domination, and it's about keeping the people down. Keeping us away from whatever it is, okay, that can elevate us and enlighten us. All right? And it does come back to things such as product placement and advertising, because it's all interwoven, you see. Now then, there's probably a few points that I've missed. But it is what it is. This is Crag Core. We're off the top of the head on the most days, okay, on these videos. We literally just say it as it is and how it comes out, okay? So here we are. We're doing it again. We're signing off. This is Crag Core. I want to thank you again for spending this time with me today and watching this video. I appreciate every single one of you, okay? I'm going to leave you to your own devices now, you lucky buggers. Have a good day, and this is it. For the last time, this is Crag Core signing off, and keep your eyes peeled for that next video, okay? Because it's going to be a good one, all right? You take care. Love and peace to all things everywhere.